universe of World of Warcraft is an ever-changing landscape. The world of Azeroth is no exception. As we saw with the rise of the Troll Empire, they won a hard-fought battle to reap the bounty of the world. But a tribe of dark trolls will soon find there is strength in change. Don't forget to like and subscribe and come. Take a seat by the fire as twilight descends. While many of the troll tribes founded new settlements across the land, one particularly savage group of trolls never ventured outwards, remaining insular, preferring instead to stick within their ancestral home. These trolls were known as the Dark Trolls. They lived in the maze-like caverns that snaked beneath a region known as Mount Hyal. Living most of their lives underground has given these trolls a dark grey, almost ash-like complexion, and as such they came to hate sunlight, emerging only under the cover of night to hunt and forage for food. Unlike others of their kind, the mystics of their tribe sought harmony with the land, often communing with it in whatever ways they could. Very slowly they would migrate towards the labyrinthine groves near the heart of Kalimdor, drawn to the scintillating energies that emanate from a great magical lake. This was the Well of Eternity, born from the great wound left behind when the Titans pulled an old god from Azeroth. They found strange and unusual creatures living there, fairy dragons and dryads and many others. All life would seem to flourish near this limitless source of nature's bounty, and they would settle along its shores. Caring nothing for the savagery of the rest of their kin, they were happy to be left alone. Change did not take long. The mystical waters began to affect them, each new generation being changed more and more. The energies made them stronger, more intelligent, and virtually immortal. They would abandon their own language in favor of the Titan-forged language they discovered, ones in the ruins and wards in the surrounding area. The mystics of the tribe also began to revere a prime deity, a moon goddess they would name Elune. They believed they were her favored children, and thus they named themselves the Kaldorei, meaning children of the stars. In the common language, they would forevermore be known as Night Elves. These Night Elves were insatiably curious, plumbing the depths of knowledge from the well and anything they could find and discover. Some would travel outward to discover the breadth of the beautiful Kalimdor, while others would stay and create intricate and beautiful cities along the shimmering shores. These elves had not forgotten their connection to nature, and always strived to still exist in harmony with it. The creatures of the forest took notice of the swift and wondrous development of this new race. Word travelled fast, and soon the wild gods would come to treat with them. One powerful wild god named Cenarius took particular interest in the elves. His great heart saw within them the ultimate protectors of nature. He cared so deeply for them that he would forever claim kinship. He would teach them all he could about the natural world. Some night elves were so changed, so transformed by his teachings, that they would choose to never leave his realm. Their physical appearance would alter over time. The Kaldorei had developed a deep empathy with the world and all of its creatures, even respecting the great dragons as they protected the world, and thought it best to leave them and their secrets untouched. Their capital city, the Eye of Elune, or Elundris, was where the magical connection with the well would deepen. The arcane magic that poured from the well would also bestow the elves with untold power. It became a part of everyday life in elven culture. Many would begin to study these magical practices, becoming powerful sorcerers and learned scholars. The growth of the Kaldorei was explosive, and it was during this age that Azshara came to power. Hereby known as Queen Azshara, she was a beautiful and uniquely gifted night elf. She was truly beloved by her people. They would rename their capital city to Azshara in her honor, which would translate to the glory of Azshara. Under her reign, the grand expansion began. The military might of the Kaldari was unrivaled. With the seemingly inexhaustible power of the well to fuel them, their borders would expand far and wide. The entire continent of Kalimdor would know of Azshara and the Night Elven people. With the power of a loon bestowing powerful blessings to the elite soldiers, those that would come to be known as Night Warriors, they were unstoppable. Only the openly hostile trolls made the mistake of drawing the full attention of the elves. Swiftly they dismantled the troll supply chains, and the trolls almost immediately buckled under their might. The outer empires like the Amani and the Gurabashi were destroyed almost immediately. But the elves were not interested in conquest. Azshara and the other elves saw the bloodthirst of the trolls as nothing more than primitive, a symptom of an unenlightened mind. She would strike an accord. The trolls would be allowed to keep their mountain home of Zuldazar in exchange for never bothering the elves again. The Zandalari had no choice but to accept, a shame they have carried with them ever since, a hatred that ran so deep it can still be felt today. Not since the days of the Black Empire had a civilization so completely encompassed the continent, and it showed no signs of slowing down. Wonders and marvels that would never be seen again, even in the modern ages, were constructed. Sprawling, beautiful cities, roads and temples expanding ever outward. Azshara constructed a huge palace for herself and invited her most loyal and elite mages and scholars to dwell within. They would call themselves the Highborn, and they would delve into the secrets of the well with fevered passion. The fierce magic they wielded would only grow stronger and increase, but with this, so would their dependence on it. With reckless abandon, the Highborn would practice their magics. They would not listen to those they believed to be of lower caste. They would call themselves princes or princesses and would rule over the outer regions of the empire. Their thirst for the arcane grew and grew. Cenarius looked upon this with a heavy heart. While most of Night Elven society still honoured the ways of nature, and the harmonious coexisting of these people and the arcane scholars gave him hope, he foresaw terrible danger should the Highborn continue along this path. Azshara's dogmatic beliefs and racial purity began to seep out into the culture, causing a dangerous rise in xenophobia. Time passed on. Herself and her followers would forgo living in harmony altogether, believing themselves to be above all other races. Even the great Emperor Lei Shen could not imagine the power of the Kaldari Empire now. But as is the way with all things, it would not last forever. Meanwhile, however, on the world of Argus, the Eradar race had reached their own untold heights. They had mastered their world, their society encompassing itself beautifully, and as we saw, the Triumvirate ruled over the people justly and with benevolence. Sargeras and his burning crusade, however, was in need of soldiers for his army. Attracted by the magical affinity of the Eradar people, he would appear to the Triumvirate under the guise of a divine being. He brought promises of endless power and learning. Valen, one of the Triumvirate, was a prophet, and he had a sudden vision. He saw this gift that Sargeras offered, and how it would transform their people into horrific demons, scarring their world and tainting them forever. He warned Kil'jaeden and Archimonde of this, but they did not heed his warnings. They would sign away their very souls. Valen, with the help of the Naru, would take any of his people who would listen, and escape to a vessel of Naru make called a dimensional ship. It was named the Genadar. These ships were able to sail the Great Dark and the cosmos as easily as one would sail the oceans. and were able to do so by drawing upon the mighty power of the Naru itself, often at great personal cost to the being. Those who stayed behind became Manari, which means corrupted. Valen and his people would call themselves forevermore Draenei, or exiled ones in Eradar. But Kil'jaeden and Archimonde would see this as a monstrous betrayal. Being the first sentient race to pledge allegiance to the Legion gave them power and influence like never before. They would use it to pursue Valen, a man they had once considered their brother, across the Great Dark. The Naru that was powering the ship they escaped on would eventually become too weak to continue. They crash-landed on another world, one which we have already covered, the world of Draenor. But this is a story for another time. Thanks once again to everyone for every like, every comment, and all the support. Oh, and don't forget to come back. Anytime.